This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody. I hope you are well in whatever part of the world you are listening from. You know that I appreciate that you are tuning in and spending some time listening to me talk to leading lights from the world of extreme metal, hard rock, heavy metal and rock and roll from across the globe. And here's a great example. You're about to hear from Daniel Freyberg from the group Crownshift. Now, he was the guitarist in Children of Bodom. Now, the catalyst for our introduction is due to a debut album from Crownshift. It is self-titled. It is out now. If you want to check it out, I've got a link there in the episode description. Throughout this conversation, we talk, of course, about the album, musical influences, some experiences throughout the creation of the album, all the usual stuff, and of course there's plenty of interesting banter in between. I've selected a tune for your listening pleasure. This one is titled, I had it up a moment ago, here it is, Rule the Show. Of course it's from the debut album from Crownshift, and once it's done you'll hear from Dan. Let's get to it.
Hello.
Daniel, finally, not finally in a bad way. I know we've had a few misconnections, so I'm grateful for this opportunity. How are you?
Hey, likewise. I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Good, good. How have you found the calls and the interactions with the Australian independent journalists?
Right. Okay.
Good fun. Are we? How do we
Yeah.
compare to the rest of the world?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
How do we compare to the rest of the world?
You guys are top notch, I'd say.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What is it? I don't honestly start like this, but I thought I'd just have a chat to you about this sort of thing. What is it about Australian journalists and interacting with us here that makes, like, why are we different, do you think, compared to the rest of the world?
I don't know. Maybe you're just a little bit more relaxed or laid back, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I don't really have like a super deep diving explanation for that. But yeah, it's just a gut feeling for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, we hear it quite a bit, and I think we're not prone to panicking or being too formal, and there's no bullshit backgrounds behind us, and
Yeah,
all that weird
absolutely. Now
stuff.
that you said that, yeah, it totally.
Yeah, you see some of these videos and they've got these fake devils and all sorts of shit behind them, and I'm like, how old are these people? It's,
Yeah, well, it's sometimes it looks cool or fun, or I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe that's how they think about it, approach it.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Hey, let's talk about Crownshift then. Outstanding work. I know you've bounced out of Children of Bodom under tragic circumstances, but would you say that Crownshift is some of this music? Is this music that would have become, in a way, or versions of Children of Bodom music?
Um, I'd say COB is an influence among the others, but I wouldn't say it's exactly like COB Mark II or Mark III or whatever,
Mm,
because it has a lot more going on as well. I think I'd say it's more expanded stuff than COB was. And yeah, I don't really think about it too much, honestly. But
yeah.
yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Did you have Crownshift in the background whilst Children of Bottom was on, like when it was still a thing?
Yeah, it was. And it was like a long time coming. So yeah, but there was never really a good timing because COB was so busy all the time. And
Mm,
after that, obviously, Bottom After Midnight, things started to happen with them pretty quickly as well.
yeah.
So it was on the background, but it was like long coming, and we just needed to find the right moment for Crownshift.
Mm. Do you find that occasionally the music is compared to what Devon Townsend's been doing?
Yeah, there is moments like it reminds me from Devin's work, and I'm really honored or flattered if somebody compares that to Devin because it's not an easy task to sound like Devin because the guy is so freaking talented and good. So yeah, there is a moment that from Devin's work for sure. Especially, I think Rule the Show is pretty Devinish side,
Mm,
but also there's like a lot of stuff that Devin would have not done. I'd say, and reminds me some other bands.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, you're right. It's a great comparison, and I'm sure the listeners are going to. I will pick a tune actually to play ahead of the podcast edition of the show, just to give people an idea. And I mean that in a very positive way too. You're not copying what Devon does whatsoever. There's bands out there that copy Tool, for example. I won't mention them, but there's some very prominent bands out there that do that. But you're not doing that with Devon's music, and I understand that from the presser. Your music is described as modern melodic death metal. Do you think that summarizes it, or do you think that there's way more to it than that?
I think there's way more to it, but melodic death metal, it's always easy to put everything under that category. So
Yeah.
it's another thing. I don't think about it too much. I'll let the journalists and labels to label us whatever they feel is fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of like elements from progressive metal as well, or even hard rock. But I think, melodic death metal is probably what it is most of the time, I'd say. Or, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Look, the pedigree of the band's members is outstanding. Nightwish, Children of Bodom, Winter Sun, and I'm sure there's probably some other bands mixed in there as well, given all your collective efforts. But did you find that having so much talent in the band, were there any challenges keeping everything on the same page? In other words, cohesive?
Not really, because you're right. There's a lot of talent in band, but I think every one of us get to, bring the best out of their talent to the band, which is important, because sometimes it just doesn't work. If you have like 2, 3, or 4 good songwriters who all want their songs to the album, it can be a mess. But in our case, we kind of have different strengths. The songwriting is kind of my area, since the other guys don't write material that much, but they are very good at arranging stuff and taking care of other things. And there's a lot to work in the band that isn't just music. So I think we really found a perfect match between Crownshift guys.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'd agree with that absolutely too. But what about from being I'm not saying, when I say a sideman, you know what I mean by that. It doesn't mean you're in the background, but Alexi's at the center of Children of Bodom. You're one of the sidemen, all very capable, but you're leading this band. So were there any challenges in that transition for you?
Not really. I've been doing this before Children of Bodom, obviously a little bit different level, but I kind of had an idea what it is. So it's not a new task. And yeah, Children of Bodom, that was kind of new to me, to be in, like you said, on the sidelines. But I always knew it was a different job, and I always knew who is the creative force of COB and who is the front band. So it wasn't really a problem. It was a experience that I'm really glad I had.
Yeah. But what were the biggest challenges you faced then in putting everything together?
Putting together the band,
the album, because it just everything sounds like it all works really well. But I know I'm a musician, so I get it. When you're in the studio, when you're on the road, there's always problems, and you've got to problem solve. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you've just got to find a workaround and best solution in the moment. So did you have many of those moments when you were creating the album?
Yeah, I think a few. Well, the first thing is that we didn't use commercial studio for recording except the drum. So everything else happened in my home studio. And the recording and producing, that was kind of new for me. And I had to learn a lot of things. And obviously it takes a lot of time and a lot of nerves. So that was a challenge for sure. And but it was something that I had to really get out of my system, because I wanted to kind of do almost everything by myself, just to prove myself that I could do it.
Yeah, I admire that, by the way. That says a lot about you.
But sometimes, sometimes I'm a little bit too stubborn to ask help, and that's probably the challenge I'm, constantly wrestling.
Yeah. What about the arrangement then with you're with Nuclear Blast, I should ask up front. Is that correct?
That's very correct.
Yeah. How did the arrangement with Nuclear Blast come about?
Well, yeah, it was funny because Their artist relation guy, we used to work back in the days with Century Media, with Northern, and Nuclear Blast had hired him, which we didn't know initially until we started to negotiate with them. And I think Nuclear Blast, our management has been working with Nuclear Blast forever, so it was a natural choice to us as well. And Children of Bodom work with Nuclear Blast, and generally speaking, Nuclear Blast is a label that you rarely see bands leaving from their house. So it was really something we hoped that we get signed by Nuclear Blast, and it worked out. We also had a couple other options, but Nuclear Blast's track record, it speaks from itself.
Yeah, best in the business is probably the best way to describe it. There's very few labels that are even close when it comes to the keywords here are longevity, integrity, and the roster, the history of the roster as well, from magnificent bands like Monstrosity in the past to modern bands like you guys. They've just had it all really at some point or another. I think just about every major extreme metal band has been signed to Nuclear at some point. And
exactly. You said it.
Yeah, and things happen like I don't like Cradle of Filth these days, but at one point they were magnificent. But, they've actually got a track record these days, so it allows Danny and Des Fafara to actually go and shop the band around, and they can do that. But for other bands who just want a home and it's easy, you've got the relationship there, and it allows you to go on tour and focus on the touring. So that's why actually I'm segueing my next point there. How have you found touring behind the album? Has it been... have crowds been reacting to the material in the way that you hoped?
Yeah, well, so far we only have done 2 shows, so
all right,
it's been a little bit exciting, and also some, in a way, kind of practicing to play shows again. But yeah, it's been awesome so far. So far, our first album release show was actually pretty packed, which I was really amazed by, because you don't really know what to expect until you go there on stage and see how it turns out. So yeah, I'm looking forward. We're going to do a lot of summer festival shows, which I'm looking forward. And we'll see what happens after that.
No, that's fair enough. Indeed. Yeah. Just focusing on the album again, great album cover. Okay. Can you tell me, is there a story behind that?
Well, not really. Maybe a little bit, but it's a kind of new ruler on the cover, but we haven't really revealed who or what is it that figures on the cover. So that remains a little bit mystery. And it was done by a Finnish artist called Rami Mursula, who had worked with Apocalyptica and him, and a really top-notch designer. So it's really cool looking, and I'm so happy we came with the result. It came.
Yeah, I thought it might have had some sort of Illuminati reference. Like have you seen the film Eyes Wide Shut, the last Stanley Kubrick film with Nicole Kidman in it?
I'm not sure. Probably not. I think I should, but yeah.
Well, it's Stanley Kubrick, who's one of the greatest film directors and also screenwriters in history. But that film is incredibly dark and very mysterious, and he's left a lot on the table there for us to pick through long after he's gone. And The Mask, the first thing that drew my attention to it was just all this ornate design, and it's a bit of a masquerade mask for people listening, but do check it out. And you're right, it's not CGI either. He's actually created that, hasn't he?
Yeah,
as in the mask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay. What about Australia? Have you had much mail from us over the years? Obviously with Children of Bodom, sure, but what about Crownshift?
Well, fortunately, unfortunately, I have never been in Australia, and we never got to tour. Well, obviously, COB did tour them, but not in my time, which was a shame.
Mm.
So it's a country I would love to go someday. But when that happens, or if it happens, it's really hard to say at this point since we're only released our first album. So realistically, probably not.
Yeah.
Not soon, or maybe who knows.
What about 70,000 tons of metal and those sorts of things? Has there been an approach to do that?
Well, I mean, that would be fun to do. We did that with COB, and I had a good time there. Despite it was my first show and it was pretty chaotic, but the actual cruise was pretty fun, and the second show was way better than the first one, where we had like a really bad technical issues. But yeah, I would love to do that again. So who knows?
Yeah, Lena just told me I was on 70,000 tons of metal, by the way, the last one. And Lena from Infected Rain was telling me how many issues that they had. And there was a band whose name escapes me at the moment that she said even refused to play their first show. And for example, her first performance, there's two performances of each band, was at 4:30 a.m. And I know she's right because I was up at 5 o'clock watching Carnation from Belgium, I think, and it is just so weird to be watching a band at that time when there's still 150 people in an audience that have been up all night drinking. And I don't drink, you see, so I'd woken up because I had jet lag, so I went and watched them. But 70,000 tons of metal, it's a great concept and the fans love it, but I know it's very tough on the band.
It is.
There's another comment for you, yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky on the technical side, I'm sure, but anyway, it's rock and roll. It's good fun.
What music, what bands are out there and what albums are out there that you're listening to at the moment that you're enjoying?
Oh God, this is always somebody asks me, and I just can't remember because nowadays I'm listening. I have these playlists and everything on Spotify, so they just going on playing the songs, but I rarely check what are they and what songs are they. So I don't remember names anymore the same way when I was like younger and bought the album and really, went through with it and checked everything.
Yeah.
So I'm listening New In Flames. That's great album. What they put out. New Arch Enemy. Well, not probably new anymore, but past couple of years, which came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of random stuff that I don't even know or remember.
Yeah. Random question for you. As I said, I'm just sort of throwing questions at you now about things, but why not? It's always good to sort of go off script occasionally. But did you ever get into new metal? So Limp Bizkit and Korn?
Not really. I don't know if you can call Slipknot new metal. I guess it is, or is not.
Gets lumped in with it, but that's fairly extreme, isn't it? It's a bit different, yeah.
But yeah, I was never really a new metal guy, I'd say.
Yeah. What about hair metal? Did you go back and get into well, okay, I call it hair metal because that's what the convention is, but it's just rock and metal combined for me. But bands like Winger and Warrant, did you ever like that stuff?
Oh yeah, I love those. Yeah, especially Winger, Rat.
Yeah.
Those were probably two of my favorites from these 18 scene. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you
I love those. I still love, and still sometimes I listen to these albums over and over again. And also the Alice Cooper hair metal era, that was sensational.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there at all, yeah. Have you had the opportunity to cover anything you've wanted to?
Record a cover?
Yeah, or even play live.
Well, honestly, we don't do covers that much anymore. It's a long time we actually covered, or any of the band that I've been in have covered anything. So it's not really something it's not really my goal to cover them or anything. But I've been taking a lot of influences. Inspiration from those bands. So that's enough. I don't really feel that I need to cover their songs. And I'm not really a cover guy because all my time is going to write our own material. But yeah, who knows? Maybe some days it would be fun to cover some song for a while.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Who do you? Here's a tough question. Who do you prefer, Jake E. Lee or Randy Rhoads?
Jake E. Lee.
Good answer. Yeah, I think the Randy thing is really. There's something that happens to people when they pass away, and you've seen it with Chuck Schuldiner and even other lesser. When I say lesser musicians who haven't made as much of an impact, and it's always a bit curious when it occurs. But Randy, a great guitarist, sure, but there's 2 albums out there with him on, and then there's multiple albums out there with Jake, and Jake's guitar playing is just next level shit, isn't it? It's just otherworldly at times.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the respect to Randy, but I just prefer Jake. Simple as that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people feel that way. Yeah, yeah. Is there any other topics of conversation or anything about the album you feel that we need to address or journalists haven't been talking about that you'd like to discuss?
Nothing that came in my mind. I think it's been really extensive covering so far. So if you're good, I'm good.
Yeah, it's been good. I know John's been a fan. John's a fan. Well, John's a good bloke and he's a good mate. And, he's been making sure that you guys get some coverage down here. So I hope that translates into some.
Oh.
You see that bump in Spotify and in the physical purchases, and then that means also too you can tour down here. And I understand it won't happen off the back of this album, but maybe in a couple of albums' time.
Yeah, I would really love to, experience Australia. And Alexei, he used to go part-time living there and told me good things about your country. So, yeah, that would be really. I would need to check.
I've never been to Finland, but from what I understand, mate, the weather notwithstanding, the culture is probably not that different either. You know that it's we can only be degrees of difference.
Yeah, Winnish weather is probably a topic we shouldn't have.
Well, I understand Alexei lived in Melbourne, and trust me, Melbourne isn't that different to Finland half the time.
Really?
Melbourne's freezing, ridiculous. Yeah, Melbourne is really hot in summer and freezing in winter because it's right down. You get the Antarctic breezes, and look, I'm talking like I'm a local, and I'm in Queensland, which is tropical and subtropical, so we never get cold here. You can wear like this around. It's like the equivalent of say Florida, I suppose. It's a bit Southern California, so we're more like Florida, really. Having just come from, when I say come from Miami after the 70,000 tons thing, I actually found Miami colder than here, believe it or not. It was in the middle of their winter, and I woke up one morning and it was, I'm going to get it wrong, but it was in single digits, which is rare for us to get down to that. So, degrees Celsius, and I was walking around trying to go to get breakfast or something, and it was. I think I had a singlet on, a T-shirt on, my jacket on, and I was like, what is going on here? It's supposed to be Miami.
Oh, yeah.
You get that. Yeah, can't control the weather, mate. But
well, I'm used to cold weather, so it's not really a problem for me or issue. But, yeah, I know what you're meaning.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Well, congratulations on it, mate. It's the start of something really good for you, no doubt. And it's just a great legacy to have you still playing after the Children of Bodom thing is no longer. But, the legacy continues, but it's a brand new thing as well at the same time. So it's nice to have that juxtaposition of the two in Crownshift.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. All right, God bless, mate, and hopefully see you down here soon.
Yeah, I hope to see you too.
Well, there you have it. Another chat in the can. That one featuring Dan Freyberg from the Finnish outfit Crownshift, and he was also the guitarist in Children of Bodom. Hope you enjoyed it. There are plenty more conversations over at scarsandguitars.com featuring many of the members of the bands that that we all love, for a matter of fact. I'm thinking of Morbid Angel, Cradle of Filth, Immortal, Emperor, Satyricon. Need I go on? Probably not. You get the drift. If you love extreme metal and you want to hear from the musicians, I've done a deep dive. There are many there, and there are many more to come, by the way, so bookmark the webpage if you are keen. That's it for now. My name is Andrew Mackay Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast. Until the next one, it's a very goodbye for now.